Hello, hello. Welcome to another All Hands on Deck. I'm Katherine McBean, and today I'm joined by my friend and colleague, Paul Le Clere. Some of you will know Paul already from the help he's given across the PHA groups and others in terms of helping us to form, very positive communities. But today, Paul's going to share something he and I have been talking about for a little while now. As we build the new, which we now know is imperative, the old is crumbling, we can see it happening, and it may carry on. We do need to think about what comes next, which is why the likes of PHA and PFFA were born. And we need to look at all elements of society and how we shift it, how we change it, how we go from that old profit driven, privately owned, government owned, big corporation style business structures to revitalizing SMEs and local economies, and how we help those organizations shift from a very old way of doing things into a very new, refreshing, and exciting way of doing things. So Paul's been working on a 5D enterprise model and how that can look, how that can function, and how we can help small and medium-sized enterprises work within their local community and become something new, become something better, and become something fairer. So welcome, Paul. Thank you so much for joining me today. I probably messed that up a little bit at the beginning, but I think people will get the picture.
No mess ups here, and it's lovely to be on here. Thanks for the invite, Katherine. And we've had such lovely and fascinating conversations in the run up to this that it'd be great to kind of share some of those insights that we've had along the way so far. But yeah, we're in an incredible time of change and transformation, much of which is still largely invisible to some naked eyes. And I've been working for the last 2 years or so or more on holistic community building and helping to assist hub builders, and it's been wonderful talking to the PHA hub builders and their teams on the fortnightly calls. Since pretty much shortly after you started with the other guys of the PHA whole movement, and it's just amazing to see when people do come together, the common themes, the common issues that they think are very specific to them, but actually lots of other people all around the world or on the call are all having or have had similar experiences. So when we start talking with each other about these things and sharing our knowledge instead of hoarding it, which is the old models, the old frame of knowledge is power, keep it to yourself. This is when things change really radically. So I'm great to be here. And yeah, 5D Enterprise is something that's now calling me very specifically to provide assistance and support, given I've had 35 years of a business change consultant, trainer, coach, workshop facilitator in corporate and in SME land and small businesses. So I'm really feeling very drawn to make a contribution there now.
Yeah. And it is the right time, I think, to start having these conversations as more and more people become aware of the old system and the issues that it has and the fact that it's crumbling before their eyes. What we don't want or need is people suddenly going, what next? What do we do now? Once this comes down. So it's great to get these models out there, these ideas out there, share them with businesses, and let them have time to now start looking at transitioning and approaching these conversations. And I know between us, we've talked about how much backup we can get to these guys. We can, really provide a service to support them properly in transitioning their business. So do you want to take us through kind of the theories and give an overall view of what you can do and how we can support these small businesses moving to become more 5D enterprises rather than the 3Ds they are currently?
Sure, yeah, that'd be great. I mean, I could share my screen with a slide, which I think might help to set the scene. So if I can just do that now.
Yeah, please do.
And then go to slideshow, play from, so should have, boom, there we are. We're just sort of irrelevant sort of little thumbnails now. This is the big picture has appeared, but this is the idea of three kind of liberation journeys that I feel are kind of very visible, or 2 out of 3 anyway, are very visible journeys where we're realigning ourselves to a high vibration, a higher frequency, a higher level of conscious awareness. So along the top here, you see these 3 journeys as the arrow going to the right. The top journey is something that we're all going through our own particular version of. This is an individual liberation journey that involves, in some ways, reclaiming our true power and authority from the inside out, because the whole construct, the external systems have been seeking to take that away from us, and a lot of us are making quite big stands now for that anyway in different ways. And also liberating our next level of conscious awareness, and that's taking us into much broader patterns of thinking, feeling, insights, intuition, and also talks to the rise of the divine feminine energies, which, you know, men and women are experiencing. So we've got these individually, these multi-level of liberations in our mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, energetic domains of our experience, if you like, our life experience, as well as the external things, our connections with the environment, and perhaps our connections with the legal system as well. So we've got our individual learning journey processes happening here. And then the next journey that I see is happening, which is really, really exciting. And this is what, you know, we talk about with PHA hubs, community assemblies, community hubs, growing hubs with the PFFA, and all of this explosion that's happened over the last 3 years to start to work together in a different way locally, and getting a local focus on how we get all our needs met from our local community activities. But again, this is another mind shift and a heart shift. This is a very big sort of shift for some people that have been perhaps conditioned by the governmental stuff or the education processes or the conditioning to be in isolation mode. And we're not designed as men and women to be in isolation from other men and women in our communities. We're kind of designed to even introverts need support and help occasionally. So this is about living with purpose, passion, and joyful contribution in a local community setting, and actually creating more harmonious and positive living cultures and values along the way. And again, this is this idea of multi-level liberations for people that are joined together by our passions, by the things that we love to do, not the things that we have to do, a square peg in a round hole, to kind of make money, to pay the man, to pay the rent, to pay the mortgage. You know, we're talking about freeing up ourselves to do the things we're here to do, and to do those courageously and confidently in connection with others who share those passions, interests, and joys. So those two journeys are intertwined, because your own personal vibration and your own personal power and authority and connection within yourself will enable you to create and co-create with others on a whole different level as you go further along that line. And so the communities that start to grow together and liberate themselves together, there's amazing things happening all around the world that we don't get to hear about a lot. Been very fortunate to access some of that on the coaching and mentoring calls that we're doing with the health hubs. Excuse me. And then this third journey, right? The bottom line, the bottom line in business. This is largely business as usual at the moment. There's a working culture of competition, scarcity, you know, market share, making money. The purpose of business is to make money for our shareholders. You know, those are very, very going to be very soon, very outdated and actually quite terminal mindsets, being quite blunt. If that's the mindset that you've got in your business, no matter whatever size it is, then you're missing the big picture of what's happening above in these two other levels. Because as we start to change the nature of our society and these holistic communities that grow and open up, people's ideas about employment will change.
Yeah.
and
They
as
already are, Paul. I'm just going to say for now, It's already started. The amount of people I speak to, and they're like, I just can't do it much longer. I can't do it. I've got to do something I'm either passionate about or doesn't work against my integrity, or whereby I know at least I can help other people. So many conversations like that are coming, and it's eventually business owners are gonna have the same urge, the same feeling, and so this really is going to be that thing that helps take them to that next level, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Well, this picture alone, if business people and I'm talking about conscious business leaders, I'm talking about business leaders with a conscience, which is slightly different, and also people that are aware of the bigger picture, some of the false narratives and the things that have gone on over certainly the last 3 years, or perhaps the last hundreds or thousands of years, but
Yeah.
it does not necessarily that. But to see that there's something not right in the model, in the picture, because unfortunately a lot of bigger businesses or SMEs are working with blind spots that they don't realize are there in their strategic sensing apparatus, because a lot of the conversations and narratives we're involved in, Katherine, are not in the mainstream news feeds, or are coming through the business schools, or coming through the management consultants. It's just not there. So that they're working on incomplete data, and the blind spots that they've got again are potential, a high level of risk and threat to the business. And there's a couple of questions that I find very interesting when you talk to, like, senior business people or HR directors, CEOs, MDs, or even SME managing directors, and you kind of go, you know what? You heard about the quantum financial system coming in, and that might be a yes or a no. And then what happens if when everyone gets enough money to live on, and the whole construct we live in has changed from money being a scarcity item that you have to work hard for, to money is abundant and you have as much as you need to live the life you want. And if that happened and that was made live for everybody, hypothetically, say this weekend, how many of your employees do you think would rock up to work on Monday morning?
Yeah.
And then there's usually a combination of jaw dropping and a long silence.
I bet. I bet, absolutely.
Because this is completely a different paradigm outside of their current awareness. And I see this all the time, my LinkedIn profile and the things that are coming through. I'm seeing feeds as if it's business as usual. I'm
Yeah.
seeing things that are coming up that I was talking about 20 years ago. And I'm kind of going, wow, what's been around comes around. And there's very little in the business feeds that seem to prompt or even suggest there's an alternative narrative to
Yeah.
this idea of the World Economic Forum, business as usual, and all of that stuff, and the things that we've had imposed on us over the last 2 years, 3 years, were all necessary steps because there was a major crisis that needed dealing with, and the government did the best it could. All those narratives are kind of just time expired very, very soon, if not now. So we're in a massive process of revelation, and it seems like the business world is just running behind.
It's interesting you raise this point as well, because irrelevant of money, take money out of the situation. I know as people awaken, they are going to do everything they can to get out of jobs they hate, because they just can't do it any longer because it goes against their integrity, or they know that they're not getting the fulfillment that they deserve in life, and they're going to lean towards things they're passionate about. They're going to start looking for things they care about to do as a job, and it's going to absolutely revolutionize and re-energize local economies. So actually small businesses, large businesses, if they don't change the ethos and the community and environment they create within their business, they're going to lose staff hand over fist. People aren't going to do it any longer. They're not. They're done. If you
Yeah.
don't work with integrity, if you don't have a business that gives back, something that actually really makes the world a better place, people are going to walk away from you. They're not going to want to know. And so businesses, really, their culture has to shift. They have to look at this, because they're not going to be able to employ anyone. We all know, I mean, now I couldn't go back into a normie job working for some business, unless I was working undercover for a really good reason, and go and work for a standard business as it stands now, a very much a 3D style business, I'm never going to do that again. I will do everything I can to make sure I'm never in that position again. And I will carry on trying to find ways to work about in a way that I'm passionate about. And I feel other people are following suit. Other people are doing the same. Other people have jumped ship and they're starting their own businesses or finding ways to work with others in a way that's profitable but works for their local community. So it's already underway. So these businesses, if they don't start looking at this now, they really run the risk of being left behind, and not only left behind in terms of losing customers, losing consumers, they're going to lose employees. And then what do they do?
Well, yeah, the wheels fall off. That's really the very
Yeah.
simple answer, is the wheels fall off and they go into complete disarray, and they never saw it coming. And as you rightly say, there's the this whole growth and this expansion of the from the inside out of people's desire to express love, passion, creativity from a higher purpose than just making money to pay the bills and being part of a business that is very profitable, but I don't know, does something that's really harming to mankind. And so this idea of leaving a positive legacy becomes much more important. Realigning business strategy and direction so that it can have a positive impact in the world and not damage everything. And where we're going, and we talk about, I feel sometimes like I'm a bridge between two worlds, because I can talk the
Yes, me
business.
too.
Been there 35 years, been in boardroom, been in corporate strategy development sessions, workshop, blue sky, blue sky thinking and all that stuff. And yet I can talk about the New Earth Golden Age being driven through unity consciousness. Okay, it's going to be a big deal. That's how we harmonize ourselves and then harmonize our relationships with other people around us. Unity consciousness. And so this idea of working differently, completely differently, from love, honor, respect, recognition, listening, feeling each other, and being more consciously aware of each other. What does that look like in a business setting as a cultural model of moving to unity consciousness? Again, another very large pause in anybody that's talking about business transformations or, HR kind of strategies, because it's just not even on the radar chart. And what's really exciting is that I know there's people out there, and I know people are listening to this, who have got a fantastic idea, or who are part of a business, or they've got their own business, and they're already seeing that they're providing, if they're in, say, holistic healthcare, or if they're in maybe hospitality and leisure, they're already supporting people's well-being. They're in industries that are naturally a fit with where the New Earth Golden Age is going. Or if you're manufacturing things like, Rife machines or med beds or whatever's happening there, that you're already in alignment with the new energies that are coming in, and where the world will be in five years time, or even a year's time, might be even 6 months time or a month's time.
Yeah,
Like
speed at way things are going at the
my
moment. It wouldn't shock me.
God,
Everything.
it's crazy, isn't it? So, and this is the time. I mean, we have, very amazing people. I know our mutual friend Pam Gregory, the astrologer. She's talking about this time we're in now is the pivotal point, the massive transition that's been talked about forever, or seemingly forever. And it's a combination of the French Revolution, American Independence Day, and the fall of Atlantis. This is all coming together of these energies now, and we're in it. We're feeling it.
Yeah.
And the sun feels different, and it's there's all kinds of things happening to actually enable us to open up the dormant circuitry that's laid, passive for so long. So as people open this up, it's just going to be a whole different world view for them. And then they go and find people who share that new world view. And what are they going to co-create with these new energies? Because the ability to co-create is something else off the scale. So all this idea of, if you want to start a business, you need to have a business plan that's thought through, that's that thick, with a plan that tells you exactly what's going to happen 5 years next Wednesday. That's all bollocks. That's all
Yeah.
just old thinking. Having some
Yep.
kind of agile planning process, actually, looking at what it is you're really passionate about, what your purpose is, what you love to do, connecting with other people that love to do that, and get around a table with a cup of tea or a coffee or a beer or something and go, so what are we going to co-create then, guys, girls?
Yeah.
What's it going
Yeah.
to be? And then this is more be a entrepreneur type style of starting new enterprises. While these great big monolith institutions that are
Yeah.
grinding that to a halt anyway, they're going to completely fall over. We start a whole new model and a whole new revolution, if you like, in the business world. Changing the term from business to enterprise is very deliberate for me because the
Yeah.
words we use have connotations. So 5D enterprise is actually saying, how can we be supportive and provide wonderful value and service to our local communities? What can we do to enhance the quality of their lives? What is it that we can do that solves problems for our
Yeah.
local holistic communities? And we become, in effect, this idea of a community-focused enterprise where we're focused on the immediate. And we're seeing this with the farmers and redirecting food chain supply systems, all the amazing work you're doing, Katherine, the PFFA, is changing the focus from a global supply chain to a local or regional supply chain and growing out from there. And the
Yeah.
irony is, of course, that the businesses that operate, big, small, medium, whatever they are, corporate, wherever they're operating, they're using resources from the local community
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway. So if
Yeah.
they continue to ignore or pay lip service to this, if it's oh, we're a sustainable business, or we like to think we've got a positive impact on society, and that's like about 3% of their focus, their
Yeah.
strategic focus, when actually that should be approaching something like maybe 50%. And then
Because we're not
profit.
suggesting for a minute people don't make a profit. We're not
Yeah,
saying people
exactly.
don't need to make some money. We totally get that. It is about just ensuring priorities look a bit different. And so it's going from what is solely, let's be honest, solely a profit driven bunch of industries into something that I like to call, I know you call it a heart-based economy. I think the other day I called it a love-based economy, but it's the much the same principle. What we're doing here is looking after each other. We're looking after our local community. We're looking after our local environment. We're making sure that we're creating opportunities for people to do things they love, things they're passionate about, things they're going to, what it's like. I mean, I've worked in business for a number of years before I kind of went on my freedom kick. And the amount of people I know hate their jobs, hate their jobs. They don't give a shit. They go in because they've got to pay the bills and they've got to get it done. And quite often it's their co-workers that keep them going, or something else outside of the actual role itself. Can you imagine just how impactful and productive and incredibly powerful local businesses, local enterprises, and you're right on the language matters, local enterprises can become if every single person that rocks up each day is passionate about what they're doing, they love what they're doing, they care about what they're doing, they're going to give so much. They're going to give so much, but it's shifting from that mentality that I've got to do all these hours and do all this work Monday to Friday in a job I hate to pay the bills. And that has to become a priority to, hey, I go to work, I do something I love, I'm effective, I'm productive, I'm getting this done. And you know what? When I walk out, guess what? Family first, my life first. Those are my
Yeah,
priorities, is what happens
yeah,
at home, what happens in my local community. And it's a massive mindset shift from where we've been. But you and I know that we're on this journey. We've both been on this journey quite some time now. So we already can see, we already can visualize, we're already creating that vision and putting it into practice and making it a practical reality. But a lot of people listening to this, or a lot of people who may come across this information over the next few months, they maybe haven't gone through that part of their journey yet. But it's important that those that have and are ready and want to grit their teeth and get into it have those opportunities, whether it is to become an entrepreneur and start their own thing, whether it is to work in a voluntary capacity at the local community level, or whether it is to work with a current SME, a current enterprise, a current business, to help transition them into something that is led by the heart more than by the pocket. And I think that's where that shift has to occur. It's going to happen. It's happening organically already. It's happening naturally, and it's going to continue to grow and grow. But I think you agree with me. What we don't want to see is some wonderful local family businesses, SMEs, who are still working in the old models because they haven't seen an opportunity for something else. Whereas we can come along with this and share that with them so they can create that, start transitioning and create that in their local community. And I think they're going to find people begging for jobs. If you can adopt that kind of environment to work in, where you are putting kind of love first ultimately, in whatever capacity that comes from, then they're going to be people are going to be begging for jobs to work in that environment, because it's going to work with their integrity, it's going to work with their morals, it's going to work with the fact they're getting that job satisfaction, they're enjoying what they're doing, they're going to be surrounded by people who are more like-minded than they have been, and it's going to absolutely revolutionize and energize local communities and economies, because people are going to be impassioned, and we can help take those businesses who aren't quite sure what the heck to do next. They're starting to understand things are shifting and changing, but how do I respond to this? How do I create a model that works in my business? So this is where we can come in and help train and guide and give opportunity. Do you want to explain a little bit more about that and what we're looking to do?
Yeah, it's very exciting. I mean, it's coaching the existing leaders. That's probably the first sort of part, and then rolling out into whatever interventions or workshops or training processes, programs online or in person. That whole thing starts to be tailored to each particular business and their people. So it's not like a one size fits all. There are some principles or some very cool models and frameworks that already been I've downloaded. I've had thoughts about this for the last 10, 20 years. So there's things there already and new things coming in all the time when I have conversations with people. But before I talk about that, there was something you said about how people not feeling connected with what they're doing to kind of basically earn a living, as if livings have to be earned. There's an inside out alignment that's happening, which is becoming more and more of a priority for people, which you're describing. That would be the summary of what I'm seeing and feeling myself. And we've also got young people come in the equation, that many young people are feeling very lost at the moment, although they might have some great ideas. I had the pleasure and the honor of talking to a few people that are doing something about that in the UK at the moment, which is amazing stuff. But young people have seen growing up, I'm talking about like teenagers, maybe early 20s or so, or maybe older, but younger people have seen what their successful parents have had to do, and what they've had to commit, and what they've had to give away in terms of time, quality time with family, and all of these important things, health, to be able to make the money to get, the 2.3 kids, house, car, dog, whatever it is that, you think success means. And these kids are going, oh, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
I know. I see it in my own kids, Paul. I see it in my own ones. We were talking this weekend. I've got a 14, almost 15, a 16-year-old, 16 and a half. And then my eldest is going to be 21 in a few months. And 21-year-old, she's awake. My kids have always been awake. They've not really had a choice in the matter. But she's quite optimistic. She's creating her own path. She's a little entrepreneur. She's doing her own thing. She doesn't work for anyone else. She doesn't want to work for anyone else unless they align with her energies and her ethos. My son and my daughter are getting pushed by school at the moment. You've got to make decisions on this. You've got to make decisions on that. And so what we're doing is kind of figuring out where their passions lie, what they enjoy, what can we do? And I'll encourage them, unless there's a specific they want to go into, to become an entrepreneur, because right now they're energetically in a different space to their peers, to most businesses. They're not feeling the right vibe. And I get that. And I blame myself, for want of a better word, because I'm their mum and I kind of raised them to have an open mind. And so it is difficult for them. I have created the monsters, if you like, that do struggle to align with the 3D way of thinking. It's probably why I get emails from the school quite a bit. They will push back. So it's quite difficult for them at the moment, and all young people, to see hope, to see opportunities for the future. So we've got to help them start looking at things differently, to start understanding their own capabilities, their own strengths, how they can create their future. It's not down to anyone else, and they don't have to get some dead-end job to pay the bills just because they didn't maybe get enough GCSEs or whatever's going to happen. But I think we're fortunate because we're surrounded by people, or we know people who are awake, so they can get some guidance, if you like, from various people. But how
Mm.
hard is it for the majority of young people at the moment who do see that bloody pushing a boulder up a hill of a lifestyle that their parents have
Mm.
potentially had to go through in order to keep
Mm.
a roof over their head, and have the materialistic crap that we're all been
Yeah.
told is what we need to bring
Yeah.
happiness. I mean, most of us know now it's complete bullshit. But there are young people out there. Whereas this angle, this approach, this direction that we want to bring will allow that creative thinking, that easy flow of thought, allow youngsters to start looking outside the box. Yeah, you've been taught stuff at school, brilliant, fantastic, but what do you care about? What are you passionate about? What do you want to do with your day to day? You can't sit on your ass and play on your PlayStation all day, not an option. So what are you going to do that will bring you fulfillment and also allow you to buy some of the things that you need to buy? And it is a different mindset, and we've got to empower these young people. We've got to help them look outside the box and not at the normal social structures that we've been told are the way to go. This is an
Yeah.
opportunity to create the new and to create a world we all are going to be happy and content living in, and a healthier world. And so many of these young people have got so much to offer, but the current
Mm.
system is just like a punch in the face to them. So
Yeah.
hopefully by us helping to adjust these mindsets and us helping to bring these new models, we're going to really allow young people the opportunity to expand beyond what they've been told they can achieve, and
Yeah.
really start making the impact of the next generation.
Yeah, I mean, this is going back to me. We're going back to the principles of those three journeys on the arrow diagram I
Yeah,
shared before. These are the young people have got their own individual liberation journey to
yeah,
navigate through, and that we can provide support and assistance for that. But as the holistic community groups start to grow, and the idea of the first phase of what we thought it would look like with community assemblies, and what that morphs into, you know there's if you're in a community assembly group, or you're part of a member of a community assembly in your area, what are you doing to assist your young people to get together in groups, find their passions, start to create little clusters of passion and purpose, higher purpose, and then support those kids to do it, because they've got ideas. They're on a vibration
yeah,
of frequency that's kind of very, very high, and they've got a lot more probably emotional intelligence
yeah,
available. I mean, talk about the difference between emotional intelligence and IQ, because I mean the
yeah,
brain is kind of only going to take us so far on this journey, and we still need the brain to organize things. But the real decision making is coming from our hearts, and that's where the fuel and the power is. If
yeah.
we're talking about love-based economy, love is not a thought process in your head. It's a feeling from the
Feeling.
heart. And
Mm.
people walking around cut off from the head down to any of these other things here. So breaking those barriers. And I work with an emotional intelligence company, a small coaching and training company, some years ago, and did some work for them. And I did a bit of research around emotional intelligence and how it plays out in the workplace, and going back to the business world. And the lost potential was astonishing. That there were these reports I was seeing that was saying something like, they were saying 75% of the potential in employees in a company is untapped.
Really? Wow.
75%. It was something like that. It was over
Okay.
70%. And so how can you bring that level of energy, enthusiasm, power,
Passion.
purpose, passion? How do you bring all that through and connect with it? And there
Yeah,
are going to be there's a lot of people coming to the conclusions that this isn't the right place for me. As you said, this isn't the right job. I don't feel right. It doesn't work anymore. I just don't feel right. And you know what? If you're having those feelings, stop and have a listen to them, because
yeah,
a culture in the macho kind of male dominated business world is, don't let your heart rule your head, don't get emotional. This is
yeah,
male dominated stuff, and that's suppressing the female intuitions, the energies, the insights, and your body intelligence that's probably screaming at you, say, I need to get your attention, just have a look at this, what else could you be doing? And
yeah,
actually start to entertain those ideas. And this is where it starts with reframing who you are, where you think you're going, and what's going on in the world around you. When you go on that discovery journey, when you start that discovery process, and the universe goes, oh, they want to know the truth about this stuff, doors will start to open and opportunities will start to present and old doors will close.
Yeah.
And you'll be, if you're open to it, you'll be guided on a really, really quite amazing journey. It doesn't say it won't be bumpy and challenging
Yeah.
at times, we know, but
Yeah.
there's a lot more to come. So this is about and actually decoupling young people and adults from this thing.
Yeah. Oh, honestly,
Decoupling. So
most Sundays now, I don't go on this thing. I might
yeah,
go on first thing in the morning, check there's no emergencies at work, and that's it. I put my phone down and I walk away. And it's one of the most revitalizing, re energizing things I've done. And I cannot wait for the moment. And it's getting closer and closer as each day comes when that thing can go in the bin and I no longer have it. I actually welcome that now. I'm looking forward to it.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's part of that idea, deliberately seeded in the culture, that people focus their attention on something outside of themselves, become addicted to that as the source of information they use to make decisions, when actually the true decision-making thing is in our hearts and guts and our head. So if we can combine our head, heart, and gut and make decisions from those three centers, having three different conversations with those parts of ourselves, which is, it is a well-trodden path. People know how to do this. This is techniques and ways of doing it, or you find your own way. But there are three parts of this equation, not this over dominant,
Yeah.
control freak of a brain that's trying to control every single thing and step you're doing, when it's just got a very, very limited
But I
ability to
find it's
come.
practice because now mine all align up without me thinking about it. It just
Yeah,
naturally happens. And I think that comes as part of this process. It's part of our own personal transition. It's a natural state where you get to the point where it's like, I don't make a decision until everything aligns, and actually everything aligns without me having to try now, because I've changed, because that's been part of my transition. So anyone at the moment I know who sometimes has conflicting thoughts and feelings, I find personally, it sounds crazy, but I might put a candle on and stare at a candle, but I will sit in silence and just, not meditation so much, but just allow it all to flow and just to go through me until something goes, no, that all lines up for me. That's what I feel, or that's what I want to do. And it's so much easier doing it that way because there's no conflict anymore for me. It's quite simple. But in terms of the 5D enterprise, I know that we're keen to start talking now with some small businesses who might want to hear more, understand what those models can look like. Do we have an email address or anything yet that people can get in
yeah, yeah,
touch with?
yeah. That people can get in touch with us at nextleveltransformations at protonmail.com. So that's the main email address at the moment. I'm going to be building another website, or we've talked about this as well, about 5D Enterprise. That's not available right now, but the conversations are already happening with certain business people who are already aligned with some of the things we've discussed. And I really want to just open that out
Yeah.
to involve more spiritual business leaders, conscious entrepreneurs, leaders of businesses that can see things need to change but are not quite sure how to do it or what to focus on. So starting point would probably be having a little chat and sharing of the situation, and then moving into some coaching with that person or the top team or the group of people that are involved with a new idea, and take that forward into some plan or approach that makes sense to bring in more unity consciousness as a cultural model into the company, and actually to change the focus, the strategic intentions, the very purpose, the vision, mission, and purpose in business terms, old business terms. It's really about, if love was driving the business, what would you be doing? If you're a love-based economy, what would your contribution be? These sorts of questions start to open up people to think really differently about what they're here to do or what they could do with their existing infrastructure. If, for example, I don't expect these people to be first knocking on the door or in terms of the defense industry, But what if you had all this infrastructure that was making, weapons of mass destruction or bullets or things, and said, well, what about making, health devices en masse,
Yeah.
or you know what I mean? And the rules of the game are changing for
Yeah.
business right now. We're seeing the end of the fiat currency system as well. So money is going to be a very immediate sort of issue that's starting to change, and of course that changes everything. So those are probably some early conversations. We could get some groups going, maybe the kind of discussion groups where the business leaders can come together and share their concerns, ideas, and
Yeah.
facilitated online discussions, and that can be easily global, very quickly. And I'm also, I guess, putting a call out to any coaches, trainers, and
Yeah.
business consultants that are aware of the things that we're talking about and kind of nodding all the way through this, going, yeah, yeah, and kind of want to kind of become part of, if you like, a golden bubble of co-creators, a kind of
Yeah.
a group that would create resources to use and apply to assist businesses and their leaders and teams to transform. And of course, the whole definition of leadership's changing, because everyone will
Yeah.
be leading themselves. So we've not just got this one person. It's, we're empowering everybody to take self-leadership as well as collective leadership, and go on a journey. So we're just offering an opportunity to go on a journey and make some contributions and share what your concerns are, so some of us can actually work out what to do to help them.
As always, everything I do, it's all solutions focused, and this is no different. It is solutions focused. And now is a time for solutions. And what's exciting as well is when you say solutions, it's a bit of a boring word, but there's nothing arduous about any of this. It's actually super exciting. The amount of wonderful people I get to meet through everything that I do. And I know that the same is going to happen with this. We're going to be connecting with people that are like-minded, or certainly those that are starting to go, I can feel things are shifting and changing. What do I do next? What I'd love to do is shout out to you guys out there watching and say, please get this in front of any business owners that or certainly if you like business leaders that business change consultants, business consultants, anyone that will benefit from understanding what needs to happen next to transition from that old way of doing things into the new, which is where we're going. There's no stopping it. Nothing can stop what's coming. It's coming hard and fast. So what you don't want to do is be left behind and all of a sudden start finding your employees leading, your customers, numbers are dropping. As people become more aware, they're going to go through their own transition. They're going to go through their own, if you like, ascension in terms of their consciousness. And we're already on that journey. People like Paul and I, many of you out there already are. But those that don't understand that or don't know much about that, they're going to need guidance. We're all going to have to do it, whether that's at hub level, be it food, be it health, be it education, whatever it might be. But we certainly need to look at commerce as well, for want of a better word, and local economies. And this is a way to find the solutions to get those in place and help new people come through who want to create an enterprise, who want to create some sort of business, show some initiative to have their own thing going on that will also help those around them, as well as make sure that they're making the money they want to live the life they need to, as we all should have the right to do. So what I'll do is, in the notes we'll have the email address. If you have somebody who's interested, please do email nextleveltransformations@protonmail.com, and like I say, we'll add it in the notes, and express your interest. And what we'll do is Paul and I will gather together some names, we'll get some dates sent back out, and we'll hold a private Zoom. So you'll get a private invitation, hold a private Zoom for those that are genuine and interested to come along, and we'll show in a lot more detail what we're talking about here, what an overview of the models looks like. And then we can start working with companies, businesses, enterprises, whatever you want to call them, individually, so that it could be tailored to suit their need, because we've all got to take a step in the right direction. And this is sometimes that first step is the hardest one. But once you do it, we're heading somewhere a lot more beautiful, a lot more fun, and a lot more natural, as a place for us to be.
Yeah,
Let's do it. Let's do it.
absolutely. And when you add you into solution, you get solutions. So we're talking about soul-based solutions. So this is really activating people's insights and intuitions and inner circuitry on a whole different level. And as soon as that happens, everyone starts to see the wood for the trees very differently. So it's a very exciting time, and it's a great shout out. Thanks, Katherine.
No, no, my pleasure, Paul. You know, I'm on this journey with you, my friend. I couldn't believe all of these initiatives, all of these things we do that decentralize the power structure, bring it back to the people, ensure that people are supported through a transition from the old way into a new way of being, a new way of, and I mean being, not, you know, working, a new way of being. You know, those things I'm super passionate about. That's my thing. That's how, you know, I'm going to keep trying to find a way to keep doing this, not because I'm making money off it, but because I'm care and I'm passionate. And yes, I've got to survive and I'll find a way, but it's more important to me to wake up each day and go, I flipping love what I do and it drives me and I care about it. And those are the things. And I couldn't be happier with my life. I don't have much, but I am happy. And I think that's, you know, kind of where we want to help other people get to. So guys, do email Paul at that email address. If you're interested in getting involved with a private Zoom, please do share this podcast as far and wide as you can. Every business, every initiative, every, co-op, every enterprise is going to need to understand how this transition works, and if they're not already there, then we can help guide them forward. Paul, thank you so much for your time today, my friend. As always, love working with you. And guys out there, thank you so much. I'll get told off if I don't say it, so like, subscribe, share, get this out there, and we're back very soon. God bless.
Lots of love. Bye for now.